Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. She's very smart. And she was like, I know everything. And I was like, that's amazing.
The Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over the Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over to cover.
I don't think I need to tell Erika that.
Why is everyone suddenly saying that there's an Erika Kirk, Andrew Kolvet affair going down?
Erika Kirk, welcome.
This is getting wild fast. New claims are blowing up online saying Erika Kirk may have crossed a serious line behind Charlie's back, with Turning Point spokesman Andrew Kolvet now being pulled right into the spotlight. People are reacting heavy because the timing, the secrecy, and the connections just don't sit right at all. Leaks are spreading that suggest Erika and Andrew stayed close in private while everything looked completely different in public, and now former Turning Point insiders are starting to speak up. Some employees claim there's been a quiet cleanup happening behind the scenes, with anyone who doesn't fully support them getting pushed out fast, and that's raising even more questions. Then things take an even more intense turn. Candace Owens dropped hints that both Erika and Andrew may have known something serious ahead of time regarding what happened to Charlie. According to her, Andrew reportedly flew into Scottsdale from Santa Barbara, and his plane left just minutes after the incident unfolded, which has people looking at the timeline very closely. There are also claims that Erika may have crossed paths with Andrew at the airport before heading out again, but that version doesn't fully match what was publicly shared, and now people are noticing the gaps. On top of all that, past statements are being re-examined, especially around Erika saying she hadn't dated anyone for years before Charlie, and now critics are questioning whether that story was fully accurate. And now insiders are adding even more fuel, claiming one of the people linked to her past is now sitting right in a major role connected to Charlie's platform.
She knows everything. She knows who to trust, who not to. She knows who's going to be the allies in the fights ahead.
Which only makes this situation feel even more complicated. Things just keep getting more intense. New claims suggest Erika may have played a role in who stepped into Charlie's spotlight, with her rumored close connection now taking over a major position tied to his show. That alone has people raising eyebrows, but it doesn't stop there. These allegations about Erika and Andrew reportedly came from an insider connected to Turning Point, someone who passed information along to Candace, claiming the two were involved behind the scenes for a while. According to these claims, that could explain why both Erika and Andrew were already at the Scottsdale airport around the same time everything unfolded, which many are now questioning. Now here's where things start to look messy. Candace pointed out that both Erika and Andrew may have given conflicting versions about how they traveled that day. She even referenced police scanner audio, suggesting the two met up at the Scottsdale airport and ended up on the same flight, which doesn't line up with what was publicly shared. What makes it even more suspicious is the timing. Reports indicate Andrew was already heading toward Scottsdale before the situation with Charlie escalated, and that detail has people asking serious questions about what was known in advance. According to Andrew's version, he flew from Santa Barbara to Provo, Utah after hearing the news, and that's where he and Erika reportedly reunited on the tarmac. But Candace pushed back on that, pointing to flight records and travel timelines that don't seem to support that story. The data suggests something very different. Based on those records, Charlie's plane had already been moving between locations earlier that day, and Candace claims the meeting between Erika and Andrew actually happened in Scottsdale, not Utah. From there, she says they may have traveled together afterward, which directly challenges the public narrative. And this is why all the flight details matter so much. If Andrew really left before everything happened, it raises questions about whether more was known ahead of time than people were told.
3:30 is when that pickup is scheduled for. So basically, we can conclusively confirm that Erika did not wait an hour on the tarmac for Andrew's alleged plane to land at about 4:40 p.m., right? 3:30 was the pickup. So this only makes sense if Andrew was aboard Charlie's plane with Erika.
And that's what has everyone paying close attention. Now shifting back to the relationship rumors, because this part is just as explosive. Some former insiders, including people who reportedly lost their positions after speaking out, are claiming this situation goes way deeper than expected. They allege that Erika may have continued seeing other people even after committing to Charlie, which has only added more tension to the story. These claims also suggest it wasn't limited to just one connection. According to those speaking out, there may have been multiple individuals involved behind the scenes, and some even allege that Erika spoke about Charlie in a dismissive way, which has only fueled more backlash online. And if we're being real for a second, people online are already pointing out how Andrew fits the kind of image Erika was reportedly drawn to in the past, way more than Charlie ever did. And that observation alone has people talking nonstop. Then, when you actually watch Andrew speak about Erika in recent interviews, especially now that Charlie is no longer around, the tone feels noticeably different, almost like there's a deeper admiration there that wasn't as visible before. But then it gets even more strange. Viewers started noticing that both Andrew and Erika seemed to mirror certain habits Charlie used to have, especially the way he moved his mouth while speaking. It might sound small, but when people replay the clips side by side, it stands out in a way that feels uncomfortable to watch. Now take a look at Erika's first appearance in Charlie's studio after September 10th. The energy felt completely off to a lot of viewers. Instead of a heavy or serious mood, people noticed smiles, awkward laughter.
Tarmac hug obviously had to take place in Scottsdale. It's the only thing that makes sense. Of course it did. It did not happen in Provo at all. It happened in Scottsdale.
And what some are calling subtle flirting between Erika and Andrew, which immediately caught attention online. And that's the part that really confused people. Why did they both seem so upbeat? The timing made it even harder to ignore, because this was just weeks after the incident involving Charlie, and many expected a completely different tone. Watching it back now with everything that's being discussed has made those clips feel even more unsettling to some viewers. This has also led to speculation about whether Charlie may have started noticing issues in his personal life before everything happened. There are reports claiming he may have updated his will shortly before September 10th, allegedly removing Erika after discovering something that raised concerns. While these claims remain unconfirmed, they've definitely added another layer to the conversation, so when people try to connect everything, the timeline starts raising more questions. If changes were made to important legal documents, and if Erika was aware of those changes, then some believe her behavior afterward feels different than what many would expect, which is why so many are debating it right now. Another topic getting attention is the financial side. Reports suggest there may have been a large life insurance policy connected to Charlie, with premium payments that were unusually high for someone described as healthy and low risk. Numbers being discussed online point toward a significant payout range, which has only added more curiosity about how everything was structured. Then there's the timing again. Records mentioned in discussions claim that a company linked to these payments was dissolved just days before the incident, and that detail alone has people asking serious questions about why that happened when it did. On top of that, there are claims that funds were directed into that same entity earlier, tied to a type of insurance arrangement often used in corporate settings. While none of this confirms anything on its own,
Talking about their crush.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. She's very smart. There's a great story. I can't really tell you who this was, but it was a very important person. And it happened within hours of the news. And the call goes in. She takes it because it was a very important person. And the question was to her, okay, so this is a starting point. Like, what do you know? And she was like, I know everything. And I was like, that's amazing.
the sequence of events is what has people watching closely and trying to understand the bigger picture. And this is where everything starts to feel even more calculated. Because once you understand how that type of insurance setup works, the situation becomes a lot harder to ignore. A split-dollar life insurance policy isn't something random. People just set up overnight. It's structured, it's planned, and it usually involves multiple parties who all know exactly what they're doing. In simple terms, one side covers the premiums, while another side is tied to the benefit. And when you see a company connected to someone like Charlie paying hundreds of thousands per year into a policy like that, it immediately raises eyebrows. This isn't small money, this is serious financial planning, and it doesn't just happen without intention. So now people are asking the obvious question: who actually benefited from this setup? And who had knowledge of it before everything unfolded? Because if multiple individuals were aware of a policy with a massive potential payout, that completely changes how people are looking at the timeline. And what makes it even more intense is the reported timing of that LLC being dissolved just days before everything happened. That's not a small detail people can just ignore. When a financial entity tied to a major policy suddenly disappears right before a major event, it naturally triggers suspicion, even if there's a completely normal explanation behind it.
Cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over the Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over to cover.
I don't think I need to tell Erika that.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. I don't think I need to tell Erika that.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. Tell Erika that. Erika.
Now add this on top of everything else already being discussed: the travel timeline confusion, the insider claims, the shifting stories, and now the financial angle, and suddenly the situation starts looking way more layered than people first thought. There are also conversations happening around how much control Erika may have had over certain decisions behind the scenes. Some insiders are suggesting she was more involved in operations than people realized. And if that's true, it could mean she had access to information that others didn't. At the same time, others are pushing back hard, saying none of these claims have been officially confirmed and that people are jumping to conclusions based on incomplete information. And that's important to remember, because right now, a lot of this is coming from leaks, insiders, and interpretations of data, not official statements. Still, the public reaction hasn't slowed down at all. If anything, it's getting louder. People are going back through old footage, rewatching interviews, analyzing behavior, and trying to spot anything that might support or challenge what's being said now. One moment that keeps getting brought up is how quickly certain roles were filled after everything happened. Usually, transitions like that take time, planning, and careful communication. But in this case, some feel like everything moved unusually fast, which only added more fuel to the situation. And then there's the way certain individuals stepped into the spotlight almost immediately. The confidence, the presence, the way everything was handled publicly. Some people see it as strong leadership, while others see it as something that doesn't fully match the emotional weight of what just happened. That contrast is what's keeping people locked into this.
Thanks. It's surreal to actually be sitting, because last time I was standing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Just to sit. It's a little more emotional.
Yeah.
Well, you are rightly at the head of the table, and we're just so honored to have you here. I know that you have been, to say that your life has been a whirlwind would be the understatement of the century, and to make time for Charlie's audience and to speak to them, I know that they can't wait to hear from you, and just to see you in this room probably means a lot to them. And you've been up against so much, and you've been doing an incredible, incredible job.
Story, because depending on how you interpret those actions, you either see a team trying to stay strong during a difficult moment, or you see behavior that feels disconnected from what most would expect. Now let's talk about the internal shakeups, because this part is just as important. Reports of employees being removed, replaced, or pushed out have been circulating heavily. And if even a portion of that is accurate, it suggests there's been a major shift happening behind closed doors. Some former staff members are claiming that questioning leadership decisions became risky, and that speaking up could cost you your position. That kind of environment, if true, would explain why more people are only now starting to come forward instead of earlier. But again, not everyone agrees with that narrative. There are others saying these changes are normal during leadership transitions, especially after a major event, and that restructuring doesn't automatically mean something negative is happening. And this is exactly why the situation feels so divided right now. You have one side looking at all these pieces and seeing a pattern, while the other side is saying there's no solid proof connecting everything together. Even the smallest details are being picked apart. Body language, tone of voice, timing of statements, travel records, financial structures. Everything is being analyzed like never before. And the truth is, when this many questions stack up at once, people are naturally going to start connecting dots, whether those connections are accurate or not. Another thing that keeps coming up is how narratives can shift depending on who is telling the story. Public statements often simplify things, while behind-the-scenes details can be far more complicated. And when those two don't fully match, it creates tension. That's exactly what we're seeing here. One version of events presented publicly, and another version being suggested by insiders and independent analysis. And the gap between those two is what's driving all the speculation. There's also a growing conversation about trust. Once people feel like they've been given inconsistent information, even small inconsistencies start to feel bigger than they actually are. So now every detail is being questioned. Why did certain things happen at specific times? Why were certain details left out initially? Why do some timelines not fully align? These are the kinds of questions that don't just go away on their own. At the same time, it's important to keep things grounded. Allegations are still allegations, and without official confirmation, they remain part of an ongoing discussion, not established facts. But that hasn't stopped the momentum of this story. If anything, the mix of unanswered questions and emotional reactions has made it spread even faster across social media and beyond. And right now, we're at that stage where people aren't just watching anymore. They're actively trying to figure it out themselves. Because when you combine personal relationships, leadership power, financial stakes, and conflicting timelines, it creates a situation that feels way bigger than just one headline. And this is where everything really starts to feel next level. Because once people began digging into how that insurance setup actually works, the entire situation took on a completely different energy. This wasn't just some basic policy sitting quietly in the background. This was a structured financial arrangement with serious money involved. And that alone has people paying very close attention to every detail. From what's being discussed, the mechanics of it are pretty clear on the surface. Premiums are covered over time, often by an organization or a connected entity, and then whatever remains from the final payout goes to the listed beneficiary. In this case, many people are assuming that beneficiary would be Erika, based on her role and position, which on its own wouldn't be unusual. But what's making this situation stand out is everything happening around that structure. Because now critics are pointing out that even with reports of a significant payout, combined with income from appearances, speaking engagements, and merchandise tied to Charlie's name, there are still claims that Erika has continued asking for additional financial support connected to the organization. And it's not just quiet fundraising either. According to what's circulating, there have been personally signed letters being sent out, directly reaching people, encouraging more contributions. That detail alone has sparked a lot of conversation, because while some see it as standard practice for organizations that rely on ongoing support, others see the timing and context as something that deserves a closer look. This is where the public reaction really starts to split into two sides. On one side, you have people saying this is simply how these systems work, that maintaining funding, keeping operations running, and continuing outreach efforts is part of the responsibility that comes with leadership. But on the other side, you have people saying the timing feels off, especially when you stack it next to everything else that's already being questioned. Because it's not just about the money, it's about the bigger picture that's forming around all these different pieces. When you take a step back and look at everything together, it's not one single detail driving the conversation. It's the combination of multiple factors all hitting at once. The rumored connection between Erika and Andrew, the confusion surrounding travel timelines, the questions about who was where and when, the insurance setup that reportedly changed just days before everything unfolded, and then the financial activity that followed. Individually, each of those elements might not be enough to draw a strong conclusion on their own, but when people see them, lined up side by side, it naturally creates a narrative that feels bigger, more complex, and harder to ignore. And that's exactly why this situation hasn't faded away, like other stories usually do. Instead, it keeps growing. Because every time someone revisits the timeline or re-examines the details, they find something new to question. Another layer that's keeping people engaged is the emotional contrast that many have pointed out. The way events have been handled publicly, the tone, the energy, the timing of appearances, all of that is being analyzed closely. Some viewers believe everything has been handled with strength and composure during a difficult situation, while others feel like the reactions don't fully match the weight of what happened. That difference in perception is what's fueling ongoing debates across social platforms. Then there's the internal side of things, which adds even more complexity. Reports of changes behind the scenes, shifts in roles, people stepping down or being replaced, and claims from former insiders are all contributing to the overall narrative. Some individuals who previously worked within the organization have suggested that speaking up or questioning decisions became difficult, and that environment may have influenced why certain information is only now starting to come out. But again, there are others pushing back on that, saying leadership transitions after major events often involve restructuring, and that not every change should be viewed as something suspicious. And this is where things get tricky, because both sides are looking at the same situation, but interpreting it in completely different ways. Even small details are being examined under a microscope now. Body language, facial expressions, tone of voice in interviews, timing of statements, all of it is being broken down and debated. Because once trust starts to feel uncertain, even the smallest inconsistency can start to feel like a much bigger issue than it actually is. Another major point people keep bringing up is how narratives can shift depending on who is telling the story. Public statements are often simplified, while behind-the-scenes details can be far more complicated. And when those two don't fully align, it creates space for speculation to grow. That's exactly what we're seeing here. One version of events presented publicly, and another version being suggested through insider accounts and independent analysis. And the gap between those two is what's keeping people locked into this story. There's also a growing focus on timing, because timing is everything in situations like this. When events, decisions, and actions happen close together, people naturally start connecting them, whether those connections are accurate or not. Why did certain financial changes happen when they did? Why were certain travel details different from what was initially shared? Why did certain roles shift so quickly afterward? These are the kinds of questions people keep coming back to again and again. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded in reality. Right now, many of these claims are still just that. Claims. They are based on reports, insider statements, and interpretations of available data, not confirmed findings. And that distinction matters because without official confirmation, there is always the possibility that some of these details could be misunderstood, incomplete, or taken out of context. But even with that in mind, the momentum of this story hasn't slowed down at all. If anything, it's accelerating because the mix of unanswered questions, emotional reactions, and high-stakes details makes it impossible for people to ignore. Right now, we're in that phase where the public isn't just watching anymore. They're actively trying to piece things together themselves. Everyone has their own theory, their own interpretation, their own take on what might be going on. Some believe this is a case of coincidences stacking up in a way that just looks suspicious from the outside. Others believe there could be deeper layers that haven't fully come to light yet. And until clearer answers are provided, that divide isn't going anywhere. Because when you combine personal relationships, leadership power, financial stakes, and conflicting timelines, it creates a situation that feels far bigger than just one headline. This is the kind of story that keeps evolving, because every new detail has the potential to shift how everything else is viewed. So now it all comes down to one major question that people can't stop asking. Are all of these details just overlapping circumstances that happen to look suspicious when placed together? Or is there a deeper story here that hasn't been fully explained yet? That's what everyone is trying to figure out right now. And until that answer becomes clearer, this situation is going to stay in the spotlight. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want more breakdowns like this. And I'll see you in the next one.